everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Ren and I make videos about books and pop culture a couple of times a week. And today, if one of your New Year's resolutions, like me, is to stop buying so many books, which normally, you know, I'm a massive advocate for buying loads of books, but it is one of my resolutions. I want to give you some tips to maybe help with a book buying ban. They can be difficult. I kind of, as a little test, put myself on a mini book buying ban around September, October time of 2022. And the reason why I did this is because there's so many books on my shelf and I was getting more and more like, oh, I'm going to read this from my shelf, I'm going to read this from my shelf. And I realised, like, I kind of had this thing of, there's so many books here that I clearly love, like that I clearly thought sounded so good, and books that I really wanted to read, and I was like, and I'm just not reading them. Like, they're there and I love collecting books and I love having my books on display, but I'm not reading them, and there's so many good ones that I'm just not picking up. And then also I'm not reading ones and then figuring out what I don't like and then clearing space for the new books. Like, I'm running out of space. So I put myself on a mini book buying ban, and it has been genuinely one of the best things that I've done. I have read so many books from my shelf, books that have been on my shelf for a while that I haven't picked up. And I've genuinely just been really enjoying the idea of like coming in here and choosing a book, because some books I've literally forgotten that I had. Like, I was sorting my book trolley out the other day, and this was at the back of it, Once and Future. I forgot I even bought this, and it sounds incredible, so it's gonna be one of my next reads. It's not easy to go from like loving going in bookstores, looking around them, buying multiple books a month, to just not buying anything. Like, it's harder to do, and people that watch book videos and are part of like Book Twitter and Book Talk and BookTube, we enjoy buying books, so it can be hard to go on a book buying ban. So I thought I'd give you some of tips that have helped me. The main thing that I did for my book buying ban is that I didn't stop buying books, which I know sounds counterproductive. So there were a few books that I knew were coming out that were collector's edition. So there was the 10th anniversary Ari and Dante, there was Red, White and Royal Blue, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I was like, well, I'm gonna buy them because they are like some of my favourite books, and these editions are gorgeous and I want to support them. So I bought them. They're books I've already read. It's not like I'm buying a book that I'm not going to read. They're books I've already read. So that is one that I found helpful. Like, you know, books that I know I love, books that are going to be on display because they're pretty and they're like gorgeous editions. Like my Red, White and Royal Blue is there, my Ari and Dante is there. So, you know, books that it doesn't add to a TBR, you know. I also have been using my library a lot more, which is really, really helpful. Because one, it saves money. Libraries are free. Library cards are free. And if you have a local library, like, it's so important to support them. They just, like, libraries are so integral to communities and towns and cities. Like, we should all use libraries more, and the more demand that you give a library, the more books they can get in and the more authors they can support. And my local library is actually really good at getting like newish releases in quite quickly, and there's also there's an app which is good as well, which helps. So and you can use like ebooks and audiobooks on the app, which is great. Oh, it's my phone's telling me I need more light. Should I turn my ring light on? It's just going to change the dynamic of this immediately. I hate winter. I hope you enjoy the now light in my glasses. But yeah, so libraries are great, and then it means that you can read new releases without buying them, and then if you love them, you're like, well, I can add to it, but then you're not buying something and adding like to a TBR, like a permanent TBR, because with library books you have to return them within a certain amount of time, so it means that you read them quite quickly, which I found really helpful, because if there's a book that I've been looking forward to, I'll go to the library and get it, and then I know that I'm reading it within like the next week and a bit. So library is so helpful when it comes to book buying bans, and so helpful with getting down at TBRs and stuff. The other thing, and the thing that I have found the most helpful, is that I have told myself I am allowed to buy one book a month. So I have an Audible subscription, and the reason why I have an Audible subscription is because, for those that don't know, I am disabled, and part of the disability is that I deal with chronic pain and I have really bad joints. So sometimes holding a book is really, really, really painful for my wrists. So I have my Kindle, which is the Kindle Oasis. It's really, really, really light. And that is really helpful. And I also have an Audible subscription for days where I cannot hold things very well. And I can listen to it instead. And my hearing aids are Bluetooth, so it helps because I can use them as like my headphones, and it's really good. And then I also have like some vision loss in this eye. And sometimes on like really bad days or days where I have like a really bad headache, it can be hard to read something. So the listening is great. And so I have a 1 book a month Audible subscription, and that is also really helpful because it means that I can get new releases. It means that I can get books that I've been looking forward to, and it doesn't add to a physical TBR. And also audiobooks are great because I have 1 a month. I just have to focus on that 1 audiobook. And I have my walking stick. Before I had my walking stick, I would walk and read a physical book before I got poorly. But now I have my walking stick and I can't do that, and it's really hard with like my eyes and everything. So it's really good if I go on a walk, I can listen to the audiobook, and then by the end of the next month I finish that audiobook. And sometimes I even get an audiobook of a book I have on my shelf so that I can get through it and do that. So that has been really, really helpful. And I know that obviously having an audiobook subscription costs money, and if you want to save money with your book buying ban, then I would absolutely 100% recommend looking at your local library again, because my local library and a lot of libraries in the UK, they have an app, and I'll link it down below. And that app, you can put your library card in, connect to it, and then they have a selection of audiobooks and a selection of things that you can also use, which I just find so helpful. And again, you can get audiobooks for physical books that you have, and then that's another way to get through your TBR. If you're out on a walk, or if you're going somewhere, if you're in the car, you can listen to it, and that is a really, really, really helpful way I have found of getting through it. I also, for this year, have gone through and selected 1 book a month that I really wanted to read. So either a book that is an anticipated book, so January, my anticipated book for January is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. And I've gone through this year and picked 1 book a month, either, like I said, that I knew was coming out and I'm anticipating, or I've seen on a 2023 releases video or post or whatever, and have thought, that sounds amazing, I want to read that book. And that is, I've put it in my diary. I've put it in my diary on its release day. And I'm going to allow myself to go into the bookshops and get that book on its release day. And that'll be my book for that month. Because I enjoy bookshops. I'm not going to not go into bookshops. I'm still going to look at books. I'm still going to go into them. And I do still want to support the bookshops. So I am going to buy 1 book a month. And that is what I've decided that I'm going to do. And that's what I've kind of also been doing since September, when I put myself on my like mini book buying ban. I was still allowing myself to get 1 book. And I found that really helpful. Because I was still doing something that I love, which is book shopping and going around and having a look. But it's just giving myself, like, I'm not completely being like, okay, you're not allowed to buy any books ever again, but I'm giving myself like that to do, you know, and I know that the book that I'm selecting is a book that I'm going to read quickly because it's a book that I'm anticipating, if that makes sense. I always tend to do that with like big releases and books that I've been waiting for years. When they come out, I tend to read them immediately rather than just like browsing for books that I don't know a lot about and then just putting them on my shelf. So I found that really helpful. And then the final thing is that if there's books that I want for Christmas and my birthday, I am gonna ask for them, because 1, it saves me money because I'm not buying the book myself, it is a present, and 2, it still allows me to have that kind of thing that I love. You know, I love being given books as presents. I love, like, I just love it. I love like asking for books and getting books. It's like my favorite thing. So Christmas has just gone, and for Christmas I asked my parents for lots of books, which was really great, and I managed to get them, and I was really lucky and I was really grateful, and like I said, it added to my TBR, but they were books that I was really looking forward to, that are my like imminent reads, so it's books that I know that I will be getting to probably before the end of January. I just think with book buying bans, we kind of have this image in our head that it means that we go from doing something that we really like buying books, to just not doing that at all. For some people, maybe it's really helpful. Maybe some people, if they just cut themselves off entirely, that's the best thing. For me, personally, I don't want to like cut myself off from doing something that I know I really love. So it's kind of that like gradual process of like, I'm still letting myself get those books that I am anticipating. I'm still letting myself have, you know, ask for books as presents, and I'm using the library, and I'm, you know, using other resources which really help and like also enrich my reading experience. Like I love audiobooks. I love figuring out, like exploring new audiobooks. You know, if I'm looking at books on my shelf and being like, I'll get that as an audiobook, it might be a book that I've never heard of, and the audiobook would be really interesting. I got the audiobook for Last Night I Sang to the Monster. That's the current one I'm reading, which is a Benjamin Eliaslan's book. He wrote Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, which is my favourite book, and the way that the audiobook is being told is so interesting, and that's a book that's on my shelf and on my TBR, but I'm using the audiobook for when I go on walks, and that's just been really good, and it's like a really like enriching way for my reading process and getting through my TBR. I've also just been making reading, like trying to get through my TBR, so much more fun as well. Like just going in, looking at like a book and being like, okay, I bought this, I don't remember like what it was about it, picking it up, reading it, reading the first couple of pages, reading the first chapter, and kind of falling in love with the books that I have again, rather than like, oh, I need to just buy loads more. Like I said, I forgot I bought this, but it sounds amazing, and I'm reading, I've got finished Plain Band Heroines, which I'm almost done with. Then I'm going to read the Sunbearer Trials, and then I'm going to read that one. And it's so good to kind of just have that again and explore my own shelves again, because there's books on there that I forgot that I bought, you know? But I still then get to have that fun thing of like going to the library, which I love the library, and I definitely didn't utilize it as much as I've been doing the last few months. And I think it's really important that we do that, and it's completely free, and the app is free for the ebooks and the audiobooks, which is brilliant, and it's such a good way to support your local community and your local library. And yeah, I've just been trying to think of ways that I can still have that like really fun, I love book buying and book browsing and that kind of thing, but how I can bring that into a book buying ban, you know, browsing my shelves, browsing the library, still going book shopping. Like it's still fine to go book shopping if you see books you want to like, just like make a note of them, you know. And yeah, it's just ways. And maybe this video was not coherent in the slightest, maybe this video was really weird and really random, but yeah, I thought I would just share a few things that have really helped me with trying to go on a book buying ban and trying to get through my physical TBR, but ways that I can still have like a lot of fun with that, if that makes sense. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any tips for book buying ban, please leave them in the comments down below. Like I said, these are things that I found helped me, so they might not help you. For some people, going completely cold turkey and just being like, I'm not buying anything, I'm just going off of it, is really helpful. Some people are really, really minimalist when it comes to books, and I just do not have the capacity to be like that. And I am very envious that you can be, but it's interesting to see different ways that helped other people. And like I said, this video might not be helpful at all. Like you might be like, no, none of that is going to help me, and that's okay. It's different people, but I thought I'd share things that helped me, because I had a look and tried to see any like tips online of how people helped and stuff. And yeah, so I just thought that this is the most successful I've been with a book buying ban ever. Like whenever I've tried to go on them before, I've tried to just completely be like, oh, I'm not doing anything, but actually that doesn't help me, and I know that for a lot of people it doesn't. Like other people struggle with that as well, so I thought I would share the things that have helped me, because we hear book buying ban and we just assume it's like nothing, and I don't think it has to be that, if that makes sense. So I thought I'd share. If you guys are new here, then I make videos a couple of times a week about books and pop culture, so if you want to stick around and join us, feel free to hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell. And as usual, all the links to my other social medias and also my Stranger Things podcast, it's called Hawkins Do Copy and we talk all things Stranger Things, is in the description as well. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're doing really, 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 really well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!